Welcome everybody to Points of Interest, where we ride and explore interesting and historical roads. And today we've got a good one.
The Old Ridge Road, built in, what, 1915? And there's a part of it that's closed to cars.
And so it's imbued with history, lots of interesting things we'll talk about along the way. Just in terms of logistics, we parked the van at Castaic Lake, $11 to park it. You could potentially park in town for free and ride from there. But here, if you do this, you get access to bathrooms. So let's get riding. So the first part of Old Ridge Road from Castaic is not very old. It's actually all this kind of new housing development. There look like can't tell if it's a trail or a fancy sidewalk, but we're on it. So trust me though, it will get better. Okay, so we're about a mile out from the parking lot. The development has disappeared, winding through the hills.
The freeway is like on the other side of the hill over there. So you never see these hills back over here.
So a couple things to know about this route is that it gets hot, if you can see, but there's no trees here. Start early, bring lots of water. I mean, it's February and it's hot.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be 80 today, so there are no services out here. You know, 30 miles straight in one direction, you won't find anything.
Quick stop to pull off some layers. In case you were wondering, this ride is a climby ride. We've gone all of 3 miles and we've climbed 666 feet, so bring some low gears.
Old Ridge Road is the original highway. It was bypassed by a better highway and then bypassed by the freeway, which is this over here, affectionately known as the Grapevine.
Some would think that it was called the Grapevine because it looks like a vine, but apparently this area was full of grapes at some point.
If you look off to the side and see some ivy-looking vines, apparently those are grapes from the 1800s. I can't believe anything would grow out here.
I think we'll pick some grapes and make some wine when we get home later.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so we're about 5 miles in, and I think we're starting to see remnants of the older road and what's on here. You do pass a paintball park on the way up, and since then traffic has kind of died down considerably.
So Old Ridge Road is the original highway that cut through the mountains. Before this it was only wagons. What's interesting is that historians actually credit this highway with connecting the two halves of California, northern and southern, and keeping it from splitting into two states. When the Ridge Road first opened in 1915, the speed limit was set at 15 miles per hour for cars and 12 for trucks. The average journey from Los Angeles to Bakersfield took 12 hours.
What I think is fascinating about that is that although the speed limit seems absurdly low, people still got into crashes all the time. So you'd think at 15 miles per hour wouldn't be a problem, but what would happen is, the road's narrow, people would try to pass and crash into each other. So in some ways, not a whole lot has changed.
We're just doing it faster.
Yeah. So because of all those crashes, there were lots of antique cars in the valley, and lots of people over the years have scavenged those antiques for parts. It's crazy! So when this road was built in 1915, it's also said to be one of California's first paved roads. And it was kind of a marvel of engineering, not only because of the pavement, but also because of the terrain it went through. I can see why.
I think that's one of the most fascinating parts of this for me, is when you drive on I-5, it just doesn't seem like much to cross these mountains, but now that we're out here, these are some impressive mountains.
So this is nice. We've kind of hit a little respite from all the climbing. This looks like oldish road down here. And I know old is relative. This isn't like some old Roman road. It's old for California though.
Hey, old in Southern California is 1960, yeah. So this is like ancient.
Yeah. So this is the climbing route. Just to give you a point of reference, we've climbed 7 We've ridden 7.6 miles and have climbed over 1,800 feet. Often grades in the double digits. We just rode up a grade that was about 14%. So bring some leg. You're approaching a gate.
From what I understand, in 2005, the ownership for this stretch of road was passed from the county of LA to the Forest Service. Somewhere around about the same time, there was a big rock slide, and so the Forest Service opted to just gate it. It is open to non-motorized users up here, hiking, biking, etc. You are not allowed to park up here. The land on either side leading up to the gate is private property, so don't even try and leave your car up here. There's not space anyway.
Yeah.
Which is why we started in Castaic. From here on, the road really doesn't get a lot of maintenance, so we'll kind of see what condition it's in. There is, from what I understand, an organization that's trying to work out an arrangement to preserve the road. They're trying to have it designated as a historic scenic byway or something like that. No cars!
Yay, no cars! More climbing, no cars. So at least we can be more chill. This is the part that we've been really curious about. So it is about 8.9 miles from the parking lot, and we've climbed 1,900 feet.
Woo!
So it's a lot. Yeah, 2,000 feet in 10 miles is no joke, especially when it gets hot. Hey guys, this is bonkers. It's so awesome to be able to ride this, especially car-free.
I think it's incredible. Even after living down here for so long, I don't think I realized that there was anything back here.
Another change of pavements. So approaching what used to be a kiosk, we're assuming. No more kiosk, but
Nothing to be learned here except somebody likes polar.
camp vibes were had at this spot. It's crazy, it just feels so exotic and remote when it's not that far from the city. All right, so we're stopping for a little mid-road break. What's on the menu?
Salami, tangerines. And I'm gonna sit in the middle of the road because I can.
Just had our lunch break. We're about 12 miles in, still climbing, and lots of cool kind of cuts into the mountain to make this road. One of them, which is a bit of a landmark, it's called Swedes Cut. Not quite sure why it's called Swedes Cut. Maybe a big Swedish guy cut it. I'm gonna try to hit that as a landmark. So far, I have to say I've been pretty surprised at the quality of the road. I was expecting something far worse after seeing lots of different videos on this road. Might get worse, but this stuff, I mean, it looks fairly new. So someone's been doing some maintenance, might be the power company. So pretty rideable so far. I love how narrow the road is right here. I mean, you can kind of imagine the width of automobiles back then. Much smaller than they are today. Perfect bike width though, I will say. Okay, this part is definitely getting more rugged in terms of surface, but also kind of the road construction here. You can tell that they really had to blow away a fair amount of the cliffs to make this road possible. All right, we can see it in the distance. It's this cut in the mountain known as Swedes Cut. It's a big cut, 110 feet. So for the time, 1915, a big engineering feat. One problem with this cut, however, is the rocks here are pretty unstable. So lots of slides. So here we are in the middle of a Swedes Cut, and you can see what I'm talking about in terms of the instability of the rock. Lots of rocks. What do you think?
I think I don't want to stand here for too long.
From Castaic Lake, the parking lot, to here is about 15 miles on the nose and 2,700 feet of climbing. So I think this makes a great day trip for us. Given our current level of fitness, you can use this route to form a larger loop if you want. There are routes on Ride with GPS you guys can check out. But I think we're gonna just ride to the end of the cut and then turn around and head back and film some downhill, although we do have some climbing on the way back. So what do you think of it so far?
I think it's incredible. It's like having your own private road out here in the middle of these mountains. What's funny is, like, we just drove I-5 coming down through here, and you know, but you're going at 80 miles an hour and you're just like focused on the car in front of you, so you're not paying attention to what's out here, and this is incredible to be able to ride it like this.
So one thing we won't be able to show you guys is there's actually a couple place names along this route. One is the Tumble Inn, another is formerly Sandberg Inn, now Sandberg. So this route, you know, prior to the big freeway, was a main thoroughfare. So there were actually lots of small little businesses, bars, and hotels that, you know, when people went motoring, they could stay at. But maybe for another trip, we'll come back in and try to hit those spots.
One of the things that's amazing is we're not that far off the freeway, but you never hear it. We're high enough up and back. It's so quiet.
Well, we're gonna turn around and meet you guys at the parking lot. All right, so we made it back to Castaic Lake. The final stats are 30 miles and around 3,300 feet of climbing. I think it took us like 3 hours to get out there and then 50 minutes getting back. So awesome ride, so fascinating, like all the history around here.
I feel like we've known about this old road for well over a decade. It's so cool to finally get out there and ride it, and just, I mean, even just the little taste that we got.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this first episode of Points of Interest, where we go to interesting places to ride and kind of share the history and the backstory with you guys. If you like this format, let us know in the comments below, and as always, keep the self upside down.